For 3,000 years, Earth had known nothing but peace. It was a time when humanity thrived, building cities that reached for the stars and forging connections with alien civilizations from distant galaxies. The planet became a beacon of culture, trade, and diplomacy, a shining example of what could be achieved when war was left behind. But on a quiet Tuesday morning in New York City, everything changed. Alex Carter stood at the front of a small lecture hall, his voice calm as he spoke to a group of students about ancient human conflicts. He was a historian, someone who spent his days studying wars that felt like they belonged to another world entirely. To Alex, those battles were relics of a time long gone, stories told to remind people of how far they had come. As he clicked through slides showing old maps and faded photographs, a sudden burst of static interrupted the room's speakers. The screen flickered, and then an image appeared, a swirling vortex of deep red and black, pulsating like a living thing. A low hum filled the air, and everyone in the room froze. Then, a voice emerged, cold and mechanical, speaking in perfect English. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth. This message is directed to all humans. The era of your prosperity ends now." The students exchanged confused glances, unsure if this was some kind of prank. But Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Something about the tone of the voice, the weight of the words, made it clear this was no joke. Across the globe, the same message played on every television, radio, and digital device. Billions of people stopped what they were doing to listen. "We are the Vorthak," the voice continued. "Your unchecked expansion and exploitation of resources have disrupted the balance of the galaxy. You will surrender your territories and submit to our rule. Failure to comply will result in your annihilation. You have 7 days." As the transmission ended, silence fell over the lecture hall. Alex turned to face his students, expecting to see fear or panic. Instead, he saw something else: smirks. One by one, the young faces broke into grins, shaking their heads as if they'd just been told a bad joke. Confused, Alex glanced out the window. On the streets below, pedestrians paused to check their phones, only to laugh and shrug before continuing on their way. This reaction wasn't unique to New York. In Tokyo, office workers chuckled as they read the announcement on their smartwatches. In London, cafe patrons laughed over cups of coffee. Even in remote villages where technology barely reached, the news spread quickly, and the response remained the same. Humanity wasn't afraid. If anything, they seemed amused. Samantha Brooks, a diplomat stationed at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, didn't share the casual attitude of the general public. She sat in her office, staring at the transcript of the Vorthak's message. Her mind raced with questions. Who were these aliens? Why had they chosen now to declare war? And most importantly, why did humanity seem so unconcerned? Sam picked up her phone and dialed Colonel Derek Hale, a military officer she trusted implicitly. When he answered, his tone was calm, almost bored. "Don't worry about it, Sam," he said. "We've got this under control." His confidence only deepened her unease. What did he know that she didn't? And what secrets had humanity been keeping during those 3,000 years of supposed peace? As Sam hung up, she couldn't shake the feeling that the world was standing on the edge of something monumental. The Vorthak thought they were dealing with a weak, complacent species, but if the smirks she saw everywhere were any indication, humanity had a surprise waiting for them, one that might change the galaxy forever. The next morning, Samantha Brooks walked into the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. The grand building buzzed with activity as diplomats and officials from around the world gathered for an emergency meeting. Normally, such sessions were filled with heated debates and disagreements, but today felt different. There was a strange calm in the air, almost as if everyone already knew how this would end. Sam took her seat at the large circular table, glancing at the faces around her. Some looked worried, others thoughtful, but none appeared panicked. She noticed a few delegates exchanging quiet smiles, their body language relaxed. It was unnerving. How could they act so casual when an alien empire had just declared war on Earth? As the meeting began, representatives from various nations shared their thoughts. A European official spoke about the need for caution, while an Asian ambassador suggested opening diplomatic channels with the Vorthak. But it was Colonel Derek Hale's entrance that shifted the tone of the room. Dressed in his military uniform, he carried an aura of quiet authority. When he spoke, his words were direct and confident. "The Vorthak think we're weak," Derek said, leaning forward slightly. "They see our peaceful history and assume we've grown soft, but they don't know what we've been working on behind the scenes." This statement drew murmurs from the crowd. Sam leaned in, her curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. "What exactly have we been working on?" Derek hesitated for a moment before answering. "Let's just say humanity hasn't spent the last 3,000 years sitting idle. While we play the role of peacemakers on the galactic stage, our government's quietly invested in technology far beyond anything the Vorthak, or anyone else, could imagine. We've prepared for something like this. Trust me, we're ready." His words did little to reassure Sam. If anything, they made her more uneasy. What kind of secrets had humanity been hiding? And why hadn't she, as a high-ranking diplomat, been informed? Still, she couldn't deny the sense of confidence radiating from Derek and the others in the room. Whatever preparations they referred to, they clearly believed it would be enough. After the meeting ended, Sam approached Derek privately. "You said we're ready," she began, her tone firm. "But I need more than vague promises. Tell me what we're dealing with here." Derek sighed, running a hand through his short hair. "I can't give you all the details. It's classified. But I'll tell you this much. Earth isn't defenseless. We have weapons, ships, and systems the Vorthak won't expect. For centuries, we've let them, and every other alien race, underestimate us. Now, they're going to regret it." Sam frowned, unsure whether to feel relieved or alarmed. Before she could press further, another voice interrupted them. "Colonel Hale is right," said Dr. Rachel Monroe, a scientist who had joined them unnoticed. Her sharp eyes and no-nonsense demeanor gave her an air of authority. "Humanity has spent millennia preparing for moments like this. You might not know everything yet, but trust me, we're not the fragile species the Vorthak think we are." Rachel explained that she was part of a project called Xyneris, though she refused to elaborate beyond that. All she would say was that humanity's response to the Vorthak threat would leave the galaxy speechless. With those cryptic words, she excused herself, leaving Sam even more confused. Later that evening, Sam sat alone in her office, staring at the city lights outside her window. She replayed the day's events in her mind, trying to make sense of it all. Humanity's nonchalant reaction to the Vorthak ultimatum still baffled her. Was it bravado, or was there real substance behind their confidence? One thing was certain: whatever happened next would change everything, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The next day, Sam found herself on a military transport plane heading to Denver, Colorado. Colonel Derek Hale had arranged for her and Alex Carter, the historian from New York, to visit a secret facility known only as Project Genesis. Rachel Monroe would be their guide, though she remained tight-lipped about what they were about to see. As the plane descended, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into something far bigger than she could comprehend. When they arrived, an unmarked car took them deep into the mountains. The road twisted and turned until it ended at a massive steel gate embedded in the rock face. Armed guards checked their credentials before allowing the vehicle to pass through. Inside, the group boarded an elevator that descended silently into the earth. Sam felt her stomach drop, not just from the ride, but from the weight of where they were going. Finally, the doors opened to reveal a sprawling underground complex. Bright lights illuminated rows of advanced machinery, bustling engineers, and towering structures that looked like something out of science fiction. Rachel led them down a wide corridor, explaining briefly that this facility had been built over centuries, hidden from the public eye. Its purpose: to protect humanity from threats beyond Earth's borders. "This is unbelievable," Alex muttered, his eyes wide as he tried to take it all in. He had spent years studying ancient wars and human resilience, but nothing could have prepared him for this. "How did you keep something like this secret for so long?" Rachel smiled faintly. "People underestimate humanity's ability to adapt and prepare. For 3,000 years, while the world thought we were focused only on peace, we were also building tools to ensure our survival." Their first stop was a massive hangar filled with sleek starships. Unlike anything Sam had ever seen, these vessels gleamed with polished metal and glowing panels. Each one was equipped with technology that seemed impossibly advanced: weapons systems, cloaking devices, and engines capable of traveling faster than light. Workers moved efficiently around the ships, running tests and making final adjustments. "These are part of our fleet," Rachel explained. "They're designed to operate independently or as part of a coordinated attack. Every ship is controlled by artificial intelligence, which makes them faster and more precise than any pilot." Sam frowned. "But why didn't we share this with the galaxy? Why let everyone think we're weak?" "It's simple," Rachel replied. "If others believe you're harmless, they won't see you as a threat. Humanity has always been underestimated, and we've used that to our advantage." Next, they visited a chamber housing what Rachel called gravity manipulators. These machines were enormous, resembling giant rings suspended in midair. When activated, they created distortions in space-time, bending gravity itself to their will. Alex stared in awe as Rachel demonstrated how the device could crush a solid steel block into a tiny sphere or fling it across the room with devastating force. "The Vorthak won't know what hit them," Rachel said matter-of-factly. "Their ships rely on conventional propulsion. Our weapons can tear apart their formations without giving them a chance to retaliate." As the tour continued, Sam began to understand why humanity wasn't afraid. This wasn't just preparation. It was dominance disguised as peace. Still, questions lingered in her mind. How many resources had gone into this project? How many sacrifices had been made to keep it hidden? And most importantly, what would happen when the rest of the galaxy discovered the truth? By the time they returned to the surface, night had fallen. The cool mountain air hit Sam's face as she stepped out of the facility, her thoughts racing. She glanced at Alex, who looked overwhelmed but exhilarated. For the first time, she understood the smirks she'd seen back in New York. Humanity wasn't just ready for war. It had been waiting. 4 days had passed since the Vorthak's ultimatum, and the world was holding its breath. Tensions were high, but humanity's confidence remained unshaken. In Geneva, Sam Brooks sat in her office, reviewing reports from military leaders and scientists around the globe. Every update reinforced what she'd seen at Project Genesis. Earth was more than ready for the Vorthak. Still, something about the situation gnawed at her. The aliens' arrogance bothered her. Why would they declare war if they didn't believe they could win? Her thoughts were interrupted by an urgent call from Colonel Derek Hale. "Sam, we've got activity near Tokyo," he said, his voice tense but controlled. "A Vorthak scout ship just entered Earth's atmosphere. They're broadcasting a message." Sam's heart raced as she turned on the live feed showing the alien vessel hovering over Japan. It wasn't massive like the fleets described in the ultimatum, but its presence alone was enough to send shockwaves through the region. The ship pulsed with a dim red light, and a distorted voice echoed across all communication channels. "Humans," it began, the tone dripping with disdain. "Your silence suggests ignorance of your own weakness. We are the Vorthak, rulers of countless worlds. Your resistance is futile. Surrender now or face annihilation." The broadcast ended abruptly, leaving behind an eerie quiet. Sam watched as news crews scrambled to cover the event, capturing footage of civilians staring up at the sky. To her surprise, most people seemed unfazed. Some even laughed, pointing at the ship as if it were a harmless spectacle. But Sam knew better. This wasn't just a show of force. It was a test. Within hours, The Vorthak envoy landed outside Tokyo, demanding to speak with Earth's leaders. A hastily arranged meeting took place in a secure conference room, where Sam joined via holographic link alongside other diplomats. The alien ambassador was taller than any human, with shimmering silver skin and piercing black eyes that seemed to bore into everyone present. Its voice was cold and commanding, each word laced with contempt. "You claim strength, yet you hide behind illusions of peace," the ambassador sneered. "Your species is primitive, incapable of matching our power. Why do you resist? Surrender now, and perhaps we will grant you mercy." Sam clenched her fists under the table, fighting the urge to snap back. She glanced at Durek, who gave her a subtle nod. Taking a deep breath, she leaned forward, her expression calm but firm. "You think you know us," she said, her voice steady. "You see our history of peace and assume we're weak. But let me make one thing clear. Humanity doesn't back down when threatened. You've underestimated us, and that's going to be your biggest mistake." The ambassador tilted its head, studying her with obvious skepticism. "Your words mean nothing without action. Prove your so-called strength or accept your fate." For a moment, the room fell silent. Then Sam allowed herself a small, knowing smirk. "Oh, don't worry," she said. "You'll see exactly what we're capable of soon enough." The ambassador hesitated, clearly unsettled by her confidence. After a long pause, it turned and left the room without another word. As the transmission cut off, Sam exhaled sharply, her hands trembling slightly. She hadn't realized how much courage it had taken to stand up to the alien. Back in Geneva, Alex Carter watched the exchange from a nearby monitor. He shook his head in admiration. "They really have no idea what's coming, do they?" he muttered to himself. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, and now the Vorthak were walking straight into their trap. As night fell, Sam stood by her office window, gazing at the city lights below. The Vorthak thought they held all the cards, but they were wrong. Earth wasn't afraid. It was ready. And when the time came, humanity would prove just how dangerous an underestimated opponent could be. The seventh day arrived, and with it came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The Vorthak fleet emerged from the depths of space, a vast armada of sleek, menacing ships that stretched across the sky like a storm cloud. Billions of people on Earth watched live feeds as the alien forces approached, their sheer size and numbers overwhelming. News anchors spoke in hushed tones, but the reactions on the streets were calm, almost eerily so. Humanity wasn't panicking. It was watching, waiting. Colonel Derek Hale stood in the command center of Earth's defense network, his eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing the Vorthak positions. Around him, technicians and officers worked with quiet efficiency, their movements precise and focused. For years, they had trained for this exact scenario, running simulations and refining strategies. Now, it was time to put everything into action. "Operation Eclipse is a go," Derek announced, his voice firm. "Activate the first wave." At his command, hidden satellites orbiting Earth sprang to life. Invisible to the naked eye, these machines were equipped with cutting-edge energy weapons capable of targeting entire fleets at once. Beams of blinding light shot out from seemingly nowhere, slicing through the Vorthak ships like paper. Explosions erupted in the vacuum of space, illuminating the darkness as dozens of alien vessels disintegrated instantly. On Earth, crowds gathered in public squares to watch the battle unfold on giant screens. Cheers erupted as the first wave of destruction rippled through the enemy ranks. In New York City, Alex Carter stood among a group of onlookers, his heart pounding with a mix of awe and pride. This was humanity's moment, the culmination of centuries of preparation. Back in Geneva, Sam Brooks monitored the situation from her office, her mind racing. Despite the early success, she couldn't shake the feeling that the Vorthak wouldn't give up so easily. They had come too far, invested too much, to retreat after a single setback. Still, she couldn't deny the thrill of seeing Earth's defenses in action. Humanity wasn't just holding its ground, it was dominating. In space, Lieutenant Mia Torres piloted one of Earth's starships, her hands steady on the controls. Her ship was part of a squadron tasked with engaging the remaining Vorthek forces. As she approached the battlefield, she marveled at the sight before her. The aliens' once imposing fleet was now in disarray, their ships scattering in confusion as Earth's gravity manipulators disrupted their formations. "This is Eclipse Leader to all units," Maya said over the comms. "Target their engines. Disable them before they can regroup." Her squadron moved with precision, unleashing volleys of missiles and energy blasts that crippled the enemy ships. The Vorthek tried to retaliate, but their weapons proved ineffective against Earth's advanced shielding technology. One by one, their vessels fell, leaving behind a trail of debris that drifted silently in the void. Despite the chaos, Derek remained calm, issuing orders with clarity and purpose. "Deploy the quantum disruptors," he instructed. Moments later, a series of devices activated around key points in the solar system. These disruptors emitted pulses that interfered with the Vorthek's communication and navigation systems, rendering their fleet virtually blind. As the battle raged on, news spread across the galaxy. Other alien civilizations, who had long dismissed humanity as weak and insignificant, watched in stunned silence. No one had expected Earth to fight back with such ferocity, or such sophistication. By the end of the day, the Vorthek fleet was in ruins. What had started as an invasion force was now a scattered collection of damaged ships retreating toward the edge of the solar system. On Earth, celebrations broke out in cities around the world. Fireworks lit up the night sky as people cheered and embraced, reveling in their victory. But Sam knew better than to celebrate too soon. The Vorthek weren't defeated yet. Emperor Ziller still commanded a vast empire, and he wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. Humanity had proven its strength, but the war was far from over. The Vorthek retreat was a blow to their pride, but Emperor Ziller refused to accept defeat. From the safety of his flagship far beyond Earth's solar system, he seethed with anger. Humanity had not only resisted, they had humiliated him. His once invincible fleet was now a shadow of its former self, and rumors of Earth's strength were spreading across the galaxy. For a ruler who demanded absolute respect, this was unacceptable. "We underestimated them," Xyler growled, his voice low and dangerous. His advisors stood silently in the dimly lit chamber, afraid to speak. They'd been hiding their true power for centuries, playing the role of weaklings while preparing for war. One brave advisor stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, we must reconsider our strategy. Their technology is unexpected, perhaps diplomacy." "Silence," Xyler roared, slamming his fist onto the armrest of his throne. "Diplomacy is for cowards. We are the Vorthek. No species defies us in lives to tell the tale." Ziller's mind raced as he plotted his next move. He couldn't afford another direct assault, not after the devastation his fleet had suffered, but there was one card he hadn't played yet. Hidden within his empire's arsenal was a weapon so destructive that even his own commanders feared using it. It was time to unleash it. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. In Denver, Dr. Rachel Monroe reviewed data from the battle, her expression grim despite the victory. The quantum disruptors had worked flawlessly, and Earth's starships had performed beyond expectations, but something about the ease of the win troubled her. She voiced her concerns during a meeting with Colonel Derek Hale and Samantha Brooks. "This was too easy," Rachel said, pacing back and forth in the briefing room. "The Vorthek are arrogant, yes, but they're also strategic. Why would they send such a large fleet knowing we could counter them?" Derek nodded thoughtfully. "You think they're planning something bigger?" "I do," Rachel replied. "And whatever it is, it'll be worse than what we've seen so far." Sam leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Do we have any intel? Anything at all?" Rachel hesitated before answering. "Our deep space probes picked up unusual energy signatures near the edge of the solar system. It's faint, but it matches patterns associated with superweapons. If I'm right, the Vorthak aren't done yet. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the facility. Technicians scrambled to analyze incoming reports, their faces pale with urgency. A massive energy spike had been detected near Earth's moon, a distortion unlike anything they'd ever recorded. Moments later, the Vorthak broadcast another message, this time directed specifically at Earth's leaders. Humans, the cold, mechanical voice began. You have proven resourceful, but your defiance ends here. Witness the full might of the Vorthak Empire. Before anyone could react, the moon shuddered violently. Cameras stationed on its surface captured the source of the disturbance, a colossal weapon embedded in the lunar crust. The device pulsed with dark energy, sending shockwaves rippling outward. On Earth, scientists watched in horror as tidal forces surged, triggering earthquakes and massive ocean waves. They're destabilizing the moon's orbit, Rachel whispered, her voice trembling. If this continues, the moon could break apart, or worse, crash into Earth. Panic spread across the planet as news outlets reported the unfolding catastrophe. For the first time since the conflict began, humanity felt fear. Even Alex Carter, who had always believed in Earth's resilience, found himself questioning whether they had truly prepared for everything. But amid the chaos, hope emerged from an unexpected source. Deep beneath the moon's surface, ancient sensors activated, detecting the threat. Alex, reviewing historical records at Rachel's request, discovered references to a forgotten artifact buried there, an object left behind by humanity's ancestors. With no time to waste, Rachel and her team worked tirelessly to locate and activate it. As the moon trembled and the world braced for disaster, a faint glow appeared near the weapon's epicenter. The artifact hummed with power, generating a protective field that stabilized the moon's core. Slowly, the shaking subsided, and the crisis passed. Back on Earth, Sam exhaled sharply, her hands shaking. The Vorthak had pushed humanity to its limits, but once again, Earth had risen to the challenge. Still, Sam knew this wasn't over. Zeller wouldn't stop until humanity was destroyed, or until he was. The stabilization of the moon was a miracle, but it came at a cost. The artifact's activation drained immense energy, leaving Earth's lunar defenses weakened. Emperor Zeller, watching from his flagship, was furious. His superweapon had failed to destroy humanity, and now he faced the unsettling reality that Earth possessed ancient technology even he couldn't comprehend. For the first time in centuries, doubt crept into his mind. This isn't possible, Zeller muttered, his clawed hands gripping the edge of his command console. How could they have countered our greatest weapon? His generals exchanged uneasy glances, none daring to speak. Finally, one stepped forward, bowing low. Your Majesty, perhaps it is time to withdraw. Their strength exceeds our intelligence reports. Continuing this war risks total annihilation. Withdraw. Zeller snarled, his voice rising. Never. We are the Vorthak. Retreat is not an option. If brute force cannot break them, then we will find another way. In Geneva, Samantha Brooks stared at the latest reports, her mind racing. The Vorthak fleet still lingered near the edge of the solar system, regrouping and plotting their next move. Humanity had survived the moon crisis, but Sam knew they couldn't endure another attack like that. The artifact's power was finite, and Earth's resources were stretched thin. We need to take the fight to them, Colonel Derek Hale said during an emergency meeting. He stood at the head of the table, his expression resolute. Sitting here waiting for them to strike again is suicide. It's time to hit them where it hurts, right at their command center. Rachel Monroe nodded in agreement. Their morale is shaken. If we can cripple their leadership, the rest of their forces will fall apart. But we'll need everything we got for this. One massive strike. Sam hesitated, weighing the risks. Sending Earth's fleet into enemy territory was dangerous, but staying on the defensive left them vulnerable. After a long pause, She gave a reluctant nod. "Do it, but make sure we're ready for anything." Within hours, Operation Eclipse entered its final phase. Earth's starships launched en masse, led by Lieutenant Mia Torres and her squadron. The fleet moved swiftly through space, cloaked and silent, avoiding detection until they reached the Vortex position. As they approached, Mia's voice crackled over the comms. "All units, prepare for engagement. Target their command ship first. Once it's down, the rest will follow." The battle began with a sudden burst of light as Earth's ships decloaked, catching the Vortex off guard. Missiles streaked across the void, striking key points in the enemy formation. The Vortex scrambled to respond, but their weapons proved ineffective against Earth's advanced shielding. One by one, their ships exploded in fiery bursts. Mia's fighter darted through the chaos, her focus razor-sharp. She locked onto the command ship, a massive vessel bristling with cannons, and fired a volley of quantum torpedoes. The impact shook the enemy flagship, sending flames erupting from its hull. On board, Xylar roared in rage as alarms blared around him. His empire was crumbling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Back on Earth, Alex Carter watched the live feed from a crowded square in New York City. People cheered as the Vortex fleet fell apart, their confidence bolstered by each victory. But Alex felt a pang of unease. Even with the tide turning, he couldn't shake the feeling that the war wasn't truly over yet. As the last Vortex ships retreated, Earth's fleet regrouped, battered but victorious. Derek reported back to Sam, his tone weary but triumphant. "It's done. Their command structure is shattered. They won't recover anytime soon." Sam sighed, relief washing over her. Humanity had won. For now. But deep down, she knew the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The age of underestimating humanity was over, and a new chapter had begun. The remnants of the Vortex fleet fled into deep space, leaving behind a trail of wreckage and despair. Emperor Xylar sat in silence on his damaged flagship, his pride shattered along with his forces. The once mighty ruler of countless worlds now faced the bitter truth. Humanity was not the weak, primitive species he had assumed. They were a force to be reckoned with, a power that could challenge even the strongest empires. But Xylar was not ready to surrender. His empire spanned thousands of star systems, and though his immediate forces had been decimated, he still commanded vast resources. He would not let Earth's defiance go unpunished. As his ship limped toward a nearby Vortex stronghold, Xylar devised one final desperate plan. If he couldn't destroy humanity through brute force, he would turn their own galaxy against them. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. In cities around the world, people gathered in streets and squares, singing songs and waving flags. Fireworks lit up the night sky, painting it with colors that mirrored the explosions seen during the battle. Humanity had faced an alien empire and emerged victorious, a feat no one thought possible just weeks before. Yet, among the joy, Samantha Brooks felt uneasy. Sitting alone in her Geneva office, she reviewed reports from the front lines. While the Vortex retreat was a clear sign of their defeat, something about it didn't sit right. Why would Xylar give up so easily? Was this truly the end? Her thoughts were interrupted by a call from Colonel Derek Hale. "Sam, we've intercepted a transmission," he said, his voice tense. "Xylar's reached a Vortex outpost near the edge of our solar system. He's rallying support from other factions in the galaxy." Sam frowned. "What does that mean for us?" "It means trouble," Derek replied. "He's spreading lies about Earth, claiming we're aggressive expansionists who threaten every species. Some of these factions might believe him enough to join his cause." Sam leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. The Vortex weren't done fighting. They were trying to drag the entire galaxy into their war. If other alien civilizations turned against Earth, humanity would face challenges far greater than anything they'd encountered so far. Meanwhile, Alex Carter pored over ancient records in Rachel Monroe's lab, searching for clues about the artifact that had saved the moon. He believed there might be more relics hidden across the solar system, tools left behind by humanity's ancestors to protect them in times of crisis. If Xyneris managed to rally allies, those artifacts could become vital weapons in Earth's defense. Rachel joined him, her expression grim. "We need to prepare for the worst," she said. "If Xyneris convinces others to attack, we'll need every advantage we can get." Alex nodded, determination hardening his features. "Then let's find out what else our ancestors left for us. Whatever happens next, we can't afford to be caught off guard again." As days passed, tensions rose. Reports came in of alien ships amassing near Earth's borders, drawn by Xyneris' propaganda. Diplomats worked tirelessly to counter his claims, emphasizing Earth's history of peace and cooperation. But old prejudices were hard to overcome, and many species remained skeptical. In space, Lieutenant Mia Torres led patrols to monitor the growing threat. Her squadron hovered at the edge of the solar system, ready to intercept any hostile movements. The pilots joked and laughed to ease the tension, but beneath their bravado lay a shared understanding. This wasn't over yet. One evening, Sam stood on the balcony of her apartment, gazing at the stars. She thought about how much had changed in such a short time. Humanity had proven its strength, but the cost of survival weighed heavily on her shoulders. The galaxy now knew Earth's true power, and respect wouldn't come easily. It would have to be earned. As she turned to go inside, a faint smile crossed her lips. Whatever happened next, humanity wouldn't face it alone. Together, they had risen to meet the Vorthak challenge. And together, they would face whatever came after. The Vorthak's propaganda campaign spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Emperor Xyneris, desperate to salvage his crumbling empire, painted humanity as a reckless and dangerous species. His message was simple but effective. Earth's technological advancements posed a threat to every civilization. Alien factions, many of whom had long envied humanity's prosperity, began to take notice. Some sent envoys to Earth, demanding explanations. Others openly sided with Xyneris, pledging their support for a united front against the human menace. In Geneva, Samantha Brooks worked tirelessly to counter the rising tide of distrust. She organized diplomatic summits, inviting leaders from across the galaxy to hear Earth's side of the story. With calm determination, she explained how humanity had spent centuries fostering peace and innovation, only to be forced into defending itself against unprovoked aggression. Her words resonated with some, but others remained unconvinced. "We're not the aggressors," Sam insisted during one heated debate with an alien ambassador. "We fought because we had no choice. Ask yourselves, would you stand by and let your people be destroyed?" Despite her efforts, the rift between Earth and its neighbors grew wider. Meanwhile, Alex Carter and Dr. Rachel Monroe continued their search for ancient artifacts buried within the solar system. They believed these relics held the key to humanity's survival if war engulfed the galaxy. Their work led them to a remote asteroid belt, where sensors detected faint energy signatures matching those of the moon artifact. Exploring the area was risky. The Vorthak had stationed patrols nearby, likely searching for weaknesses in Earth's defenses. Lieutenant Mia Torres volunteered to escort the team, leading a small fleet of stealth ships to the site. As they approached, Mia kept a watchful eye on their scanners, ready to act at the first sign of trouble. On the surface of a barren asteroid, Alex and Rachel uncovered another relic, a crystalline structure pulsating with soft blue light. It responded to their touch, activating a holographic projection that depicted scenes from humanity's distant past. Ancient civilizations, far more advanced than modern humans, had left behind tools designed to protect their descendants. One image showed a network of artifacts scattered throughout the galaxy, each capable of immense power. "This changes everything," Rachel whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "If we can find and activate these artifacts, we'll have the means to defend ourselves against any threat." But before they could celebrate, alarms blared aboard Mia's ship. A squadron of alien vessels, part of a faction aligned with Xyneris, had discovered their location. Outnumbered and outgunned, Maya ordered her team to retreat while she stayed behind to hold off the attackers. "Get back to Earth," she said over the comms, her tone firm. "I'll buy you time." Back on Earth, Sam received news of the ambush and immediately mobilized reinforcements. Though worried about Mia, she knew the artifact was too important to lose. Humanity's future depended on it. Hours later, the team returned safely, carrying the relic. Mia's sacrifice allowed them to escape, her fighter destroyed in a final, heroic stand. When Sam heard the news, she felt a pang of grief, but also pride. Every life lost in this struggle strengthened humanity's resolve. As the galaxy prepared for what seemed inevitable, a full-scale war against Earth, Sam stood before world leaders, holding up the newly discovered artifact. "This is proof of who we are," she declared. "Survivors, innovators, fighters. No matter what comes next, we won't back down." Her words echoed through the room, igniting a spark of unity among those present. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and emerged stronger. This time would be no different. Whatever battles lay ahead, Earth was ready. The galaxy held its breath as tensions reached a boiling point. Alien fleets amassed at the edges of Earth's solar system, their numbers swelling with each passing day. Emperor Xyneris' propaganda had worked. Many species now saw humanity as a threat that needed to be contained. But Earth wasn't afraid. Beneath the surface, preparations continued at a feverish pace. The relics uncovered by Alex Carter and Dr. Rachel Monroe were studied and activated, their power integrated into Earth's defenses. Humanity was ready for whatever came next. In Geneva, Samantha Brooks convened a historic summit. Representatives from neutral alien factions gathered alongside human leaders, seeking a peaceful resolution. Sam spoke passionately, urging the galaxy to see past Xyneris' lies. "We don't want war," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But we won't stand by and let fear dictate our future. If you choose to side with the Vorthak, know this: we will defend ourselves, and we will win." Her words struck a chord with some, and cracks began to form in Xyneris' coalition. A few factions withdrew their support, unwilling to risk conflict with Earth. Others remained undecided, watching cautiously as events unfolded. Meanwhile, Colonel Derek Hale led Earth's military forces in a bold counteroffensive. Using data gathered from the artifacts, they launched precision strikes against key Vorthak outposts. Each victory weakened Xyneris' grip on his empire, forcing him to divert resources to protect his territories. The once mighty ruler was now fighting on multiple fronts, his arrogance crumbling under the weight of his failures. In space, Lieutenant Mia Torre's sacrifice inspired pilots across Earth's fleet. Her name became a rallying cry, a symbol of humanity's determination to protect its home. Squadrons flew with renewed vigor, pushing back against enemy forces with unmatched skill and courage. Finally, Emperor Xyneris realized he had no choice but to sue for peace. His empire was in ruins, his armies stretched thin, and his allies abandoning him one by one. Reluctantly, he sent an envoy to a neutral space station, requesting negotiations with Earth's leaders. Sam, Derek, and Rachel represented humanity at the summit. When Xyneris' ambassador entered the room, his posture was stiff, his expression unreadable. He spoke of regret and misunderstanding, claiming the war had been a tragic mistake. Sam listened quietly, her eyes narrowing as she processed his words. "This isn't just about apologies," she said after a long pause. "Your actions have consequences. You attacked us without cause, spread lies about us, and nearly destroyed our planet. Trust isn't given, it's earned." After days of intense discussions, a treaty was signed. The Vorthak agreed to withdraw completely from Earth's territory and dismantle their aggressive campaigns. In return, humanity offered them aid to rebuild, but only under strict conditions. Earth would monitor their activities closely, ensuring they posed no further threat. News of the treaty spread quickly, sparking relief across the galaxy. For the first time in months, hope replaced fear. Alien civilizations that had doubted humanity now looked at Earth with newfound respect. They saw not weakness, but strength, a species capable of both defending itself and extending forgiveness when it mattered most. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted once again. People danced in the streets, cheering for the end of the war. But Sam stood quietly, reflecting on all that had happened. Humanity had proven its resilience, ingenuity, and unity. The 3,000-year era of peace may have ended, but a new chapter had begun, one defined by courage and cooperation. As she gazed at the stars, Sam felt a sense of pride mixed with responsibility. The galaxy had changed forever, and Earth was no longer an overlooked player. It was a leader, a protector, and a beacon of hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them together, stronger than ever before.